So I'm starting off with two different kinds of mushroom. I have cremini and baby portobello. I'm just going to blend this in a food processor until it's nice and chopped. And this is what it looks like. And I've gone ahead and combined the two together. And I've heated a pan with about 1 tablespoon of grapeseed oil, and I've added in about 2 tablespoons of shallots, and I'm just cooking that for a few minutes before adding in my mushrooms, as well as a little bit of sea salt, onion powder, and some red pepper flakes. And you want to just go ahead and stir that around and let it cook until the liquid starts to evaporate. It'll take about 5 to 10 minutes. You want this mixture to be dry so that it doesn't ruin your dough. And I've gone ahead and added in about a tablespoon of some fresh cilantro. And I'm also adding in a little slurry of about 1 tablespoon of spelt flour with about 3 tablespoons of spring water. And this is just going to help to bind our filling. And I've mixed that in, and then I'm just going to refrigerate that while I make my dough. So for the dough, I have 2 cups of white spelt flour. I've added in a dash of sea salt. You can add in onion powder, that's optional. And I'm going to go ahead and blend this with my dough hook, but you can do this by hand as well. So I'm starting by adding in my oil. And for this, I'm adding in roughly about 2 tablespoons of grapeseed oil. And you want that to be completely incorporated. And then you're going to just slowly add in your liquid, a little at a time, until it forms a dough. And it should look like this when it's done. And so I'm going to go ahead and knead the dough for a few minutes. And your dough is going to be nice and soft like this. Then you want to let this just sit aside wrapped in plastic for about 20 minutes before you start to roll it out. And then you roll your dough out. You want to roll it as thin as you can get it. This is about how thin mine is. It's not necessary, but I just think it turns out better. I just did mine in just smaller little sections, and then I used this little like tin that I had, and I just cut out circle pieces. You can shape it however you want to. And I've gone ahead and put about a spoonful of the filling in the middle. And then around the edges, you want to just take your finger and dip it in a little bit of spring water. And then you just kind of want to rub it around the edge of the dough. And this will just help it to be sticky so that when you add your top layer on, it'll stick better. And so you'll take another one of your dough rounds, place that on top, and you want to press as much of the air out as you can. So you want to kind of press around the filling so that it seals and most of the air is out. And then for me, I just decided that I was just going to crimp it with the fork and cut around the edges to clean it up, but that's optional. Then you want to add it to a pot of boiling spring water. Make sure your water is boiling and a little bit salted, and boil it for about 3 to 5 minutes. And then you can let it sit for a moment while you prepare your sauce. And for our sauce, I'm going to be using just a combination of cremini, baby portobello, a little bit of oyster mushroom. I'm sauteing that with a little bit of shallot and onion. You can use any mushroom that you prefer. And then I'm adding in a little bit of vegetable broth. And it's just basically some broth made from onions, bell peppers, a little bit of mushroom that's been cooked into a stock with some spring water. And I just save that to the side. And you can also add water to this as well. And you want to go ahead and bring this up to a nice simmer. And just put just a dash of sea salt in there as well. And it'll be simmering like this. You want to let it cook only for about 3 to 5 minutes, not too long, because you don't want it to reduce too much. At this point, you want to go ahead and add in some hemp seed milk, or you can also add in some Brazil nut milk, about 1 to 2 tablespoons. You want to make it kind of thick, kind of like a cream, and go ahead and get that stirred in and let it reduce for about another 2 to 3 minutes. I've gone ahead and thrown in a little bit of cilantro, and I put just a little bit of key lime juice, just a little splash of about half of 1 key lime juice. And I'm just stirring this down. And at this point, I'm going to go ahead and turn it off. And I've added in some fresh basil that I've chopped up. And you want to go ahead and stir that around. Now if you want to make it a little bit thicker, you can throw in about 1 to 2 teaspoons of some spelt flour to thicken up your sauce just a little bit, but you want this sauce to be kind of loose. And then you want to just serve the sauce on top of your ravioli. And there you have it.